Alright everybody, welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be doing a deep dive on my new Battle Royale, Miniature Mayhem. So what that means is we're going to be going into the creation, a lot of stories from the creation, general stuff, I don't really know. I'm just, we're going to be, mostly it's going to be stories that happened while I was creating it. And I started recording this before, but I had some issue. I think I accidentally turned my PC off during the recording originally, so that's the first funny little story. I want to talk about something first as our first topic, which is how this map was said to be coming this summer, and I put that out in like July. And technically this is coming out in the summer, I believe. I don't know exactly when this video is coming out, but I'm recording this August 29th. And the reason it was delayed so much is because I was trying to get a fourth video. Right now there's 3 videos releasing on launch. I was trying to get a fourth video, which would have been a gameplay video with, I was trying to get a bunch of different creators as well as my friends to come in and play early access to get some footage and gameplay to really show you guys how exciting this map is. But I have playtested it, not like a whole lot, so I don't think I haven't fully glitch tested it, and I haven't been able to collect a bunch of people to play it at once. But as you guys play it, you can report to me, and I'll, of course, do bug fix updates, and stuff like that. But that's why this map didn't come out on time. And I haven't mentioned it, I don't think I mentioned it in the, just the normal information video, because that was also filmed a while ago. So let's get right into it. Now for general information, you can go watch the other video. It should have come out before this one. Of course, that was filmed months ago, so I don't remember exactly what I said, so I might repeat some things, but I'm gonna try not to. I think I remember the gist of the stuff that I said. So of course we got the tide system, which is very fun to play on. A lot of locations that's, like, some games you'll have locations that aren't there, some games other locations won't be there, but new ones will be there, you know? Like, the location selection changes from match to match. So here's the island, and I'm actually, like, when I was planning on releasing this, I was much more proud of it than I was of Uncrackable, because I think it looks better, and it's really nice to play on. I really like the loot pool, and I put a lot more effort into the launch. Uncrackable, I don't remember how much effort I put into it, but it was made in only a few days, I believe. The actual, like, map was made in. I mean, it took longer to make, like, trailers and stuff, but, you know. The actual map was made in, like, a few days, and this one took, like a year? This one's been brewing for a long time. That's why I'm so excited to get this one out, and I can't believe I let it get delayed for as long as it did. But, I mean, it's waited long enough, right? I can wait some more to give this to you guys. So, now, I like it better than the current state of Uncrackable, I believe. But you guys just wait. I know this is kind of unrelated, but, like, you guys just wait until Uncrackable Royale Renewed drops, because I don't mean to toot my own horn, but I think it's looking pretty nice so far. I mean, I'm still pretty early on in the stages of creation for it, but I think it's pretty nice. Anyway, let's get back to topics on this map. This video might be long, but I mean, it's a deep dive, so we're going deep. This map went through 2 phases. There was an original idea, and for that original idea, I created a map that I never finished. And eventually, I returned to it, and changed it a lot. So, let's go over the original map first. So, I will pull up a picture of the concept art on the screen. of the original one, and then here's a map. I mean, the whole thing is pretty much loaded in, because it's pretty small. But you can see it's similar, but it's quite different. So there are a couple locations in common, as you can see, and a lot that have changed. In fact, you know what? I don't have it up in front of me right now. Let me grab it. Oh, okay. Here we go. So, cabin is still there. Pond is still there. It's called marsh now. And facility is pretty much there as well. And the thing on the left side of the map was supposed to be a desert with a train track going over it, and like going over a canyon and stuff. So that is still there as well. So that's pretty much 4 locations that remained, and just 2 that were cut. I mean, Bridge is there too, and Bridge wasn't originally supposed to be a POI, but eventually I noticed that the locations were pretty small, so I made Bridge a location itself. So Bridge is also in the original one. I mean, it's not labeled though. And the terrain is the same basic shape. I don't think I have any screenshots of the original, but pretty much I was just using like base chapter 1 creative terrain. In like, you see how basic the shape is on the map, the concept art. It was like that, so it had square edges. I don't really know what I was thinking, because this is after Uncrackable came out, so I figured this would look much worse. I was going for a different style, though, like a simpler style that wasn't supposed to like look as good and just supposed to be fun to play on, which is kind of what happened. I mean, the terrain does look good, but it also is really made to play pretty well. So as you can see, most surfaces are the perfect height for building. I said most. This could be a sweatier BR, or you could play casually with your friends. The only reason I would say it's sweaty is because it's fast-paced, and building is enabled, and there's a lot of areas of flat ground, which could house build fights pretty well. I mean, that's not my gameplay, personally, because I am turbo dog shit. But yeah, that's the terrain. So it's similar concept, but it looks much better. And this stuff had just come out. Like, the gray version of it hadn't even existed. Otherwise, it would probably... At least that side would be made out of the gray stuff. I don't know if I would have made both of them, because originally they were 2 different terrains, I believe. But they were both grass. They just had 2 different rocks. But it's the brown like dirt rock, which still looks nice. I don't know if it would have looked better with gray, possibly, but we wouldn't have stuff like this, and I like these pieces a lot. So the island also used to be, it used to have a different just concept in general. The tide system was for a different map. I'll explain in a second. Let me just pull up here. I have a description of what the BR is now, and then I also have a description that I wrote much longer ago, when it was still in its early stages. So I'll read the one to you now, and then I'll read the old one. So, right now, Miniature Mayhem is a 20-player miniature BR. It uses diverse and rocky Chapter 4 cliff terrain. Map changes follow no overarching story, but could involve smaller plot points for fun. POIs will be very small, mostly consisting of 1 or 2 buildings. It exists in the same ocean as Uncrackable Royale. So do with that information what you will, but that all lines up, obviously, with what you see in front of you. Now, the old stuff. It was originally called Ground Zero, and it was changed for certain reasons. And also, there was a tower POI on the map. I don't know what I was thinking, really. That's why it was changed pretty quickly thereafter. Anyway, Ground Zero will be a map for 16 players with very quick storm circles. It will start out as a very small island, but build out as it goes, not following any specific story. It will feature advanced terrain and very small POIs. It is in the Uncrackable universe, but most of the time it will not be affected by anything happening on Uncrackable Royale or Tinkerer's Temple. Now, nobody knows what Tinkerer's Temple is, so I'll explain that in a second. And I don't know why it says advanced terrain in this. I guess I was just thinking that I was trying to make something new with the terrain I was doing, but really, what I had actually ended up building, it didn't look very good. And I was kind of leaning into the fact that it wouldn't look great. It wasn't supposed to look the best, like I said earlier. The rest of it is still pretty accurate enough. The Uncrackable Royale universe, I changed it to Ocean because I'm not playing with universes. That's just kind of way overused. Now, Tinkerer's Temple was a battle royale that I have canceled, that I did have concept art for. It was like, I was ready to start building it, and the water device was quite new. You'll see these lines all over the place, right? Now, I'll explain those when I'm explaining right now. The water device was quite new, and at the time, resizing it would completely just make it glitch out. And I think it might still happen when you resize it on the height axis, but according to some of my creative friends, it doesn't glitch like that when you resize it anymore. But pretty much, it was so annoying, but I have placed probably like upwards of 50 water devices on this map, and that has to be using so much memory, which is why I'm releasing the map how it is, because I don't want to break anything. But probably in future updates, to optimize memory for adding later things, I will be replacing the water devices with just one big water device, which should make things just less bad. Because, like, you'll see they aren't even the same height sometimes. I don't know how it works. I don't know how any of this lines up, even. I don't understand it, but it works good enough. Are these the same height? They look like it. I don't understand. But I'll fix it later. That's a problem for the later times. So, yes, like I was saying, this flood was made for Tinkerer's Temple, and I think I deleted that world, but I did have a world for Tinkerer's Temple, and I just didn't do anything with it. But it also had the water devices on it, because it was such a hassle to cover the whole map with water devices. So I made copies of this world to use as a base for future things if I wanted them to be able to flood. Originally, the way that the flooding was going to be implemented is exactly how I have it here. There was a ramp down that led into a part down here. And that was pretty much everything that was covered by the water. Like, it didn't really affect much, except for in Marsh, the water level would rise up. But in the long run, it didn't really matter. So that's why I really wanted to implement this feature to its fullest to make it as interesting as possible. There's so many prop manipulators, because so much of the map changes when depending on whether the water level is high or it's low. Some other stuff lingering from before is these balloons. Originally the basket was different because this supply drop, like these supply drop pieces didn't exist. Instead, it was made of wooden doors from the door gallery, I believe. But the concept was still there. And there were only a few above here, but then I moved them across the entire thing. I don't think I ever finished up what I was saying with Tinkerer's Temple. Sorry, this video might get convoluted. Hopefully you're still here. Tinkerer's Temple was scrapped because it was replaced. The original trio is supposed to be Uncrackable Royale, Ground Zero, and Tinkerer's Temple. And instead it's Uncrackable Royale, Miniature Mayhem, and a third one. So let's talk about when the change happened, when I took a pivot in the concepts. One day, I think I was just bored. So I hopped on here, and I was like, let's work on this a little. And I know how ugly the terrain was, so I was like, aight, let's work on that. And of course, this Chapter 4 cliff terrain had just come out, so I was like, good a time as any to use it. And I got rid of the old terrain chunk by chunk and then replaced it with some of this stuff, and it was actually looking quite nice. And so like the main shape, you've got this ramp down with this part underneath. That's all exactly the same. As well as over here, there was a ramp, just completely the same shape over here. Over in this part was pretty much unfinished, so this is all new. But there was a lot of work put in over here already. And I had a location called Cabin right here. And of course Marsh was right here. And this bridge connecting the two terrain chunks. That was about it. So at some point, I thought I had the cabin secured down, and then it started, I deleted a piece of terrain, and then I started hearing breaking, which any creative builder, they know the sinking in your heart when you just start hearing random breaking after you delete something. So yeah, the whole cabin completely gone. And I forgot about that location when I was building this up here, and I called it cabin. I completely forgot that there was a cabin location in the original plans. I thought that this was called like mansion or something, because it was a big building. But yeah, so cabin, still with us in spirit. And we have its older brother on the map. Marsh is like exactly the same, just with different terrain. And it used to have, up until quite recently, it had pieces, like dirty water pieces from the elemental gallery covering it. But Epic Games broke them. I expected them to fix them pretty quickly, but it's been many months, and they forgore. So I just got rid of them completely, because they were just kind of messing with things. Because they were like solid, you could stand on them. It was kind of bad. So those are gone. Bridge, it's connected to the water, so it didn't fall apart, thankfully. And I just put new terrain underneath it, and it blends in pretty well. I don't know. I like the bridge. At first, I didn't like it very much, but I think it looks good. So it's still there. And this is where the big cinematic shot in the trailer happens, if you haven't seen that. That was super... The trailer was so fun to record. And then the whole bridge blew up at the end. But, go watch that definitely, if you haven't. So, yeah, I started changing the terrain out, which is what I was saying. And there was a glitch, which... What are the odds is literally happening in creative mode right now. The timer is gone. There was no 4-hour timer. So on this day, I believe I was in this world for over 10 hours. That doesn't mean I was working on it for 10 hours. I just left my computer on while I went and did other stuff. Alright, let's be clear. I didn't work on this for 10 hours straight. I didn't play Fortnite for 10 hours straight. But for some reason, I just decided to leave it on, because why not? And people were coming in and out. They were looking at the stuff I was doing. I had, like, a big sandbar, because I had, like, some pieces from here that I could just keep copying for any time I need to put a beach down. And there was a sandbar where Lannon and I would test the melee weapons. Now, I believe at the current moment, it is just Where's shoutouts? The Mayhem Sledge. The Mayhem Sledge, I believe, is the only melee weapon in the loot pool at the moment. There was also the Sinister Blade. They were balanced for each other as well as being balanced to fight against guns. And he balanced them. He balanced them really good. So thank you to Landon for that. And we tested it. It was so fun to sword fight. Like, I was playing on the hammer and he would play on the sword. But I'm just looking around here. And yep, the Mayhem Sledge is the only thing I have. However, I do have a copy of the Sinister Blade. So maybe in the future, if I salvage enough memory, we could get that back in the loot pool, if you guys want. I think it'd be cool. Because it was designed for the game. And integrated really nicely. So rip the big sandbar in the sky. That was a melee fighting arena, because that was really fun. So that fateful 10-hour day probably saw me completing a lot of the just basic terrain in this section, excluding the desert. And I didn't have, like, locations or anything. I might have built the cabin. I think I watched a lot of Better Call Saul during the creation of this map. But I just continued to work the grind. I took some breaks, like some couple-week breaks, because you work on something so much, you know, it just gets annoying. So always, you just gotta take the breaks. I mean, eventually we got here. I just kept adding to it. And now it's very detailed. Now, stuff that was teased. I teased Ralph's quite a bit. For some reason, it's just a random business on the island. So I thought it'd be funny to just tease it multiple times. So we got Ralph's. Ralph's high-quality steakhouse. Everybody loves Ralph's. Here's Ralph's. I mean, eating Ralph's. Good, right? Here is one of my favorite cinematics shots here. We got the smoke with the stuff pouring into the water from the pipes coming from the refinery, the bridge going over, and the willow trees. My favorite tree in the game is the, this is the Chapter 1 version, I believe. It's the Chapter 1 willow tree. The Chapter 2 one's pretty nice, too, but let me fact check myself on this, actually. Yeah, alright. So here's the Chapter 2 willow tree. Right, it's good, but it's not as good. Chapter 1 art style is just way superior to anything. Anyway, so many tangents in this video. I also believe I teased Refinery at some point, and another logo, I think Mine Coaster. Mine Coaster, Refinery, and Ralph's. So the two hardest locations to work on are two that only show up when the tide is high. Rig and barge. Now, when I tell you that these things were the bane of my existence for some time, specifically barge. Rig wasn't even that bad, it just took a long time. Barge has a deep, layered story, alright? So every time you drop there, just remember how much pain this thing put me through. It's still put up on random wooden stilts because I'm worried. I'm worried that it's gonna explode at any moment. And that's why I have many, many backups. So rig, of course, it's just big. And it took a long time to furnish everything. I mean, that's pretty much the extent of it. I like how rig looks quite a bit. Oh, I gotta talk about that. I forgot about that. Alright, I'm just gonna interject the video right here. I don't know where this is being inserted, but, I believe I forgot to mention something, so I'm coming back here a couple weeks after the video has been recorded to add something that's, I mean, not really that important to the history of the game, but it's also, it's funny, alright? And it's a fun little fun fact to know. So, back before the terrain was updated to look more like how it does now, there was a bridge that went from right about here somewhere and it looped all the way around, and it went out into the middle of the ocean, and then came back, and I believe it landed, like, right here. And at the biggest, like, at the part of the bridge that was farthest away from the island, there was a gap. And from that gap, you were not supposed to be able to make that jump. So yeah, it was like perfectly engineered so that you couldn't make the jump. So if you tried to come all the way out to the bridge, you would be met with that. And also, the bridge was kind of tall, so if you had no building materials, then you had to swim back to shore. So I decided to get rid of that bridge in the end because it didn't look very good, and it was built so long before the map was updated. And it was built by Lannon, who, like I have said before, was working on a bunch of different random stuff at the start of this map. So yeah, he gave me permission to bring down the bridge. It just kind of made things a little bit better, not having a big clunky bridge coming out. And now all that's left is this over here. So here's some pieces of the bridge. This is what it would have looked like. And yeah, it's pretty destroyed. But of course we gotta leave some sort of reference to it. It's just too iconic to anybody who saw the map in the early phases. And you know what? I just decided something. I'm gonna add one more honoring to this. Alright, so this is definitely the last update I'll be making to Miniature Mayhem before it releases, because this was completely unplanned. I just thought it'd be cool. We've got the honorary overhang landmark now, which looks like how the bridge start looked, except this time it's just like a little overhang dock type thing. And I've also put a landmark on the bridge named Long Beginnings, because that means two things. The bridge was super long, of course, and also how long this map took before it even looked remotely close to how it does now. So, yeah. That's back when this map was called Ground Zero, and as of recording this, today is September 11th. So, Barge is possibly bigger. I believe it is bigger. And first off, I just want to talk before we get into the just annoying stuff from Barge. Beastly Containers is a landmark. And this is a reference to something, which is, if you ever played Gang Beasts, there is a level where you're being held, by cranes, in two crates, or I guess you spawn on top of the crates, above, like, an industrial, shipping area. So, there's two crates hung by cranes. You can have some fun Gang Beasts fights, because that game is incredible. So I just thought that was a funny little thing to add. So, Barge originated in this corner. This is where it was constructed. My plan was to use some, like, level sequence device, I believe, to just put it above the mine coaster area when the flood went up. And this would go away, and then the barge would show up in its place. Now you can see the barge over here, because apparently the level loader it has a maximum size, and what I was trying to do just wouldn't work at all. So, that's when I realized I had to move it. How do you move something this huge? The answer is you have to go, pretty much what I would do. I'm getting PTSD right now. I would go in here. Oopsie. Select one line. Go down a floor. Alright, select the next line. Everything in the line, including props. There's not props in this area. But, I'd select everything. I had to go in here and select these. Everything in one line. And I'd take it like slices of Minecraft cake. In slivers. And bring it over. And then, the whole thing broke. Something, I didn't support it right. The whole thing just started breaking. And I had to do it again. It already took forever. It took forever to build, took forever to move, and now I have to move it again. So, I had to delete all the props first, too, because they don't break. They don't have the gravity. After I was done with that, I move it again. Then there it is. And once I had it in a place where I was like, alright, that's good. I think it was a tile too high out of the water. So, I had to move it again. And I think it broke one more time also. And I had to do it again. And it was just so dumb. And then now I've got, like, so many backups. Every time I wanted to change the sport, I made a whole new backup. And, like, now it's just held up by wood things, because I couldn't figure out how to stop it from combusting. So, just remember the awful story of Barge. I just wanted to point out one thing. I don't think I've pointed it out before. The gorge location is, it's like, this is the gorge location. It's kind of out on the shore, and at the mouth of the gorge. But this is part of gorge. Cat just stepped on control. But, it's just, I couldn't put the name over here because it would start to overlap with cabin, and that's not good. So, I mean, after all those stories I just told you, kind of a weak way to end it. But, that's gonna do it for this deep dive. If you want me to do, like, more deep dives like this every time I release a map, because, I'm sure I have stories from the creation of all the maps. Things go wrong all of the time. Yeah, just comment down below whether or not you want me to do that. And maybe next time I'm releasing a map, I'll do a poll. So turn on post notifications for that one. And it'll tell you when I make a community post. And it'll also tell you if I'm ever live streaming playing this map or my other maps with viewers, because I've been doing that a bunch. And anytime I update this map for some fun new content, or of course my other maps, or I just like to try and come up with fun ideas that have to do with Fortnite creative, that I think you would have a good time watching. So just turn your post notifications on. It's not that hard. You just hit the button. You just hit the button, open up a little menu, and then you just hit like you just hit the bell, the filled in one. So yeah, that's everything. Play the map. There has been no code on the screen right now because there is no code yet. Hopefully I remember to put the code at the top. I think I will. And if I didn't remember during the video, then right now, as an editor, I will, after watching this outro, go back to the beginning, and then put the code through the whole thing, small at the top. So it's there, alright? It definitely is there. Play the map with your friends. It's fun. I've played it with my friends. They don't play Fortnite, and they had a good time. Ask them. I'll give you their phone number. I'm not doing that. Anyway, like, subscribe. More content soon. Bye. Wait, I forgot. I should come with a catchphrase. And I'll see you all next time. Goodbye.